Hello and welcome to a special weekend podcast, which doesn't feel as special when we haven't done one in 3 weeks, but you know, special in some way.
It's been so long, I've missed it. It's funny that we put out that video like, yeah, we're going to make videos every week and podcasts, and then we pretty much haven't put anything out since then.
No.
We're the worst. Why do people watch us or listen to us?
It happens every time.
Man.
But we're here now, and we've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be doing so much today, and if you're on the YouTubes, there's a little playlist up there, and you can kind of find, you know, time codes. So if there's things you're not interested in, click through to those other things that you are interested in. Because we're talking about a lot of things.
All the things?
A film that came out a long time ago, and a comic book that came out even longer ago, the Dark Phoneix saga, and the Dark Phoneix film. We're going to be chatting about that with a heap of stuff from our patrons over on Discord.
Ooh, yes.
As well as a bit of news and a bit of Marvel and a bit of E3 first, because we didn't end up wrapping up, because that's what we do best, we don't end up doing things.
It's been a busy bunch of weeks.
It's been a bit mad.
Man.
But to start this podcast off the weekend, we're just going to give you our kind of top 3 and runners-up of E3.
I just want to get out of the way, because these seem so obvious for me that there's no point in even mentioning them. So I've picked a different top 3, but I just want to get out of the way. Like, of course, I'm keen for the Zeldas and the Avengers game. That's just they're out of the way. They're not my top 3 because I want it to be more interesting and not so predictable. One of my runners-up is actually 12 Minutes, which is one of the Microsoft kind of loopy games. There were so many loopy games, but this one seemed like the most interesting one. It looked like the entirety of the game is like completely top down, but not top down like 2D. It seemed top down 3D, and it loops around in on itself, but the main character seems to start the loop wherever he ended last time. Looks really, really cool. Super interesting.
A very different way to do time loops in games.
Yes, yeah. Please go check it out if you're not sure of what I'm talking about. But 12 Minutes, super keen for that. That just intrigued me a lot. Yeah. How about you?
I'm very excited for that one. I had an indie game as well, The Legend of Wright, which is the thousands of different art styles, bit of Yoshi's Crafted World, bit of hand-drawn sketchbook stuff. It seems to be a platformer mixed with a lot of things, but it looks like a really cool indie game, so I'm very keen for that.
Nice. I will say that is in my top list.
Oh, wow.
Because that's just... It's, like, the big games, I'm keen for them, but I was looking at other ones, and I'm like, that one really piqued my interest.
It's very cool.
It's just stunning. It looks like a little kid creating a little adventure in his room. I think we talked about this in our only Microsoft video, but yes, I was super keen for that.
And your other runner-up?
My other one is, look, I think just, again, because it just blew me away and intrigued me a lot, the Flight Simulator.
Yep, that's my other one too.
Like, holy crap, that I could not tell. Again, I think we mentioned this in the Microsoft E3 video, but I wasn't sure at first whether it was in-game or like drone footage or something. Like, it looked so good.
Microsoft Flight Sim was also in my other one. That's my other runner-up.
Very good.
It looks very cool.
It does. Very cool. It does. It looks very, very good. Cool. Since I've already said one of my top ones, what's your next top one?
My next one is Deathloop, which is one of the other major time loopy ones. It's the two assassins, a bit Dishonored. It was a full cinematic trailer, but I'm just very intrigued by what the gameplay side of that is. Okay. If it is very Dishonored, or if it's, I just want to know if it's very different. My top 3 are a lot more intrigued, less so excited, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like all of these are just intrigued.
Yeah, well, they only gave us cinematic trailers, so we don't have much to go on.
My next one, we did get a fair bit more information about it, which was Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks awesome. I loved... well, maybe not loved. I enjoyed the first Watch Dogs. I got the second Watch Dogs for like $50, the big special edition with the figure and stuff, because no one was buying that thing, so I bought it for cheaps. Never got around to playing it, but yeah, permadeath for the characters, like you can recruit any character in the entire world. I'm intrigued to know how often you'll end up with like the same origin story, because they said there's an origin story for every single character and all of that. Or at least like a recruitment story. So I'm very intrigued to know if they're gonna pull this off.
Yeah.
I know they did this sort of thing for like Zombie, whatever it was, and kind of Battlefield,
and Vampire as well.
Yeah, and kind of Battlefield 1 as well. Like when you at least part of it, I didn't play it, but from what I could tell, like you die as one character and then you end up as a different character, playing somewhere else. So that's very cool. Each character has different skills and traits. Tracheas, just different necks. I just want to see them pull this off. I hope they do. I'm intrigued. That word again.
I am also on the intrigued with that. That is also on my top 3.
Okay.
I love Ubisoft because all of their like, wow, look at this thing we're making is always so impressive. But what they end up making is always not that. So I am so intrigued to know because like usually it's impressive, but it's also like it still looks like a game I've played before, so I expect it to be a bit downgraded. Whereas this is like, if you don't nail this idea, it feels like this game will not work. It'll just feel like another Watch Dogs game or another Ubisoft game. So it's like, if this idea doesn't come across as well as you've shown us, like, your game isn't there. Yes. So I'm very interested to see how it lands.
Definitely. What was your last one?
It is Ghostwire Tokyo, the Ronin video game.
Hawkeye. Very good, yes.
I just, again, super interested to know what the story of it is. They've said that it's kind of supernatural witch hunting thing. The trailer gives nothing away. It's like Kojima. It's just like Kojima, really. It's another Death Stranding feel. And the humans in the trailer are like Uncanny Valley. I know it's a cinematic trailer, but they look very real. And I wasn't sure if it was real for a little bit. Yeah. So, I'm just excited for that. And also, the girls seem very excited about the game she was making. So,
she did. You know. Yes. Cool. My last one is another Ubisoft one, Gods and Monsters. So, they said this is coming out February 25th, 2020. Clearly, I'm excited because I know the date. But... yeah, it was like it's made by the people that made Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I've relatively recently finished playing, and it's great. I love my Assassin's Creeds. So this looks like a cartoony version of that, and a lot of people are also throwing out their Breath of the Wild. Absolutely. In terms of sort of art style and open worldness. So I don't think we got too much. Out of this other than the sort of cinematic-ish trailer, but it's just, that's my thing. If it's a Zelda Assassin's Creed, please, just plug it into my veins. It's just my thing. But just super quickly, just things that I wanted to note and discuss, just like very small things. Commander Keen, freaking...
oh, God.
I know. Look, I'm very upset about it. The trailer looked fantastic. I was like,
Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
you're reeling us in.
I want a game that looks like that. It looks so cool, freaking man. And then when you could just see in the background what the game looked like as the girl was talking about it, it's like, it looks so clunky and crap. Another one was. This was just so bizarre. Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. I was so confused by this. Like, there was a puppet in the trailer, and I'm like, what is happening? And then when the name came up, I'm like, it's freaking Jim Henson. Like, all right, this makes sense. For people
they just got the Netflix series now as well.
Yes, I just read about this as I was looking it up before this podcast. For people who don't know who Jim Henson is, Sesame Street. He's the dude who pretty much started it, all of the puppets and stuff. And Muppets and all that stuff. And it's all based on a 1982 film that's basically mostly puppets and stuff as well.
Yeah. Super creepy. Yeah. Super uncomfortable to look at anything from the film, the Netflix series, and that trailer. I don't like it.
Yeah. Super, super weird. And one last thing that I do want to jump on, it's not one that I'm like overly excited about because it's already out, and it's out for 1% off, potentially still on Steam, which is the Devolver bootleg thing, which is just like a launcher that has bootleg versions of Devolver games, but Devolver is selling it.
Yeah.
That they've bootlegged their own games. There's fantastic ones. There's Enter the Gun Dungeon, Hotline Milwaukee, Ape Out Jr., Castlevania, and Loft Trousers. And just super quickly, I just want to read the paragraph from the Steam description for Loft Trousers, because all of them have legitimate descriptions of those games. But this one is just fantastic, and I loved it, and people need to know that this exists out there. It says, "Hello, I am Rami Ismail, one half of Dutch independent game developer studio Van Bleer. We have made a version of Luft Trousers that had a typo, and JW left the thumb drive containing the source at a coffee shop somewhere while I was doing a talk in Berlin, then Nairobi, then Los Angeles the following day. If you find the thumb drive, can you please return it? And please, please do not share the contents with anyone or add it to a compilation of pirated under-the-table rip-offs of games that Devolver has published." That Amazing. Is the description of this game. Fantastic. I love it. I love this so much. This is just such a dumb Devolver idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's 1% off, so it's on sale if you want to go get it. Or at least it was a while ago. I haven't been back to go have a look. But it's great.
And also, before we move on to some news, we have to talk about the Marvel game, because we also didn't jump on that as well.
We do.
Just briefly, how do you feel, Josh?
Look, the trailer wasn't great.
No.
There wasn't a lot there. It was a little bit bland. Some of the battle sequences, like, it just felt like a PS3 game where there's very strategically placed trucks and cars that have been turned over, but they're in a circle, and then there's just hordes of enemies coming in and you have to defeat them in that circle. It felt really uninspired.
Felt like a movie tie-in game.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. And that was kind of disappointing. But as E3 went on, and as time has gone on, there's been more and more stuff that's come out, and it looks pretty good. And it won a whole bunch of freaking awards from all these different journalist places. So...
Yep, that's very good.
Thank you. So I don't know.
It's hard. It's very difficult because, people are saying good things, but then people are also saying it was disappointing, but then it's getting awards, like you said. It's very confusing. And, I mean, the good things that we've heard since E3 is that it is an entirely single-player campaign. Like, there is a story to get through, kind of in the vein of Spider-Man PS4. And the multiplayer stuff is separate to it. You can probably bring in friends for certain missions and stuff like that, but it's not like Anthem, where it's like, there's a story, but really it's just shooty bangs with some mates and there's a thread somewhere. It's like, there is a story here, which is very exciting.
Yes, definitely. I'm wondering whether I've been playing Borderlands lately, and I'm wondering whether it's more like a Borderlands thing, like people can just drop in and out and help you out if they want, but you don't have to have them there.
That would make sense.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be really cool. And the other thing that I've heard them say is that they're kind of going to treat it as a digital, a digital comic series, I guess, wherein the DLCs will be like a run of comics that you'll play through. Obviously not specifically, this is as an example, I think they said, like, there'll be a Civil War story that you'll play through. Cool. So they'll drop kind of events that you would read, but you'll play through them as a story event.
That's pretty cool. And they said that all the DLC was free.
Yeah, and characters and stuff.
Freaking hell yeah, that's the best.
I wish we didn't have to be excited by that, but I'm glad, at least they say it.
Yes. And one last thing on that, they got Will and I very, very, very excited and happy, is the cast. Oh, my goodness.
Now knowing it, it's like, well, of course they would have done this. But there's Nolan North, Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, and a terrible Captain America voice actor. But, you can't nail it all. When you've paid that money for the three of them, it's tricky to, find other people.
Yeah. But, man, just having those three is incredible.
It's so cool.
What a thing.
Yeah. It's just like, why? It's an Avengers game. Of course you're going to cast the Robert Downey Jr. of voice acting. It makes sense. It's so funny. Like, just the more I think about it, the more it's like, Nolan North is video games Tony Stark.
He really is.
Like, he is exactly... I love it. I love it. Perfect casting. Even though it does just sound like Nathan Drake.
It does.
But now I guess it's news time because we've got to get to all the Marvel and the Dark Phoenix stuff. There's a lot of that to talk through.
So much more Marvel things.
There's not much news. Weirdly, in the 3 weeks, nothing's really happened notably, which is very strange. I guess
It's just been E3.
yeah, I guess a lot of, like, everyone is like, well, E3's on, let's not do much. But a company called Limited Run Games, they're kind of bringing out cartridges and stuff, and the ones I care about, of course, are some Star Wars ones. They're bringing out a NES game, a Game Boy Star Wars game. They're just re-bringing them out, and it's kind of in that old carded packaging that everyone loves with the Star Wars ones, the logo and the bands around it. So it's pretty cool.
Are these actually going to work?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just
so they'll work in a NES.
Definitely, yeah.
Holy crap.
They're just, this company's re-releasing these things. It's really cool.
That's so weird.
They're a pretty limited run. There's only like 3,000 to 2,000 units depending on the thing, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. One other thing that they're doing, which is super weird in terms of like cartridges and stuff, is I think someone in our Patreon actually mentioned this to us. They're bringing out Minute on Commodore 64. Yeah. So weird. Someone's porting it to a Commodore 64, and it's an actual cartridge that you can purchase and play.
So strange.
Bizarre. It's like it's the perfect game, I guess, to play on it because it's just low pixel art sort of thing, and it's all black and white. So it would totally work, but man, it's so odd.
And we did discuss this in a previous podcast, Tesla games. This isn't a piece of news, but I found out one of the Tesla games is a car racing game, which makes sense, where you use your wheel and the accelerator and the brake to drive the car.
Yes.
In the game.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
I saw them mucking around with this on a Mr. Beast video.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Beast had a video where the last person remaining in a Tesla gets the Tesla, because of course he does that, because that's all his videos ever are anymore.
Yeah.
Other than like giving money to everyone else. But yeah, while they're just sort of killing time, they were in there for over 2 days. My God. So insane. But while they're killing time, they end up finding that game, and they're playing that for a little bit.
It's so crazy.
It's so weird. It's so bizarre.
But like, what if you let your child play it once, and then somehow they started the car? Yeah. They would just be driving, and I guess it would get to the point where they'd like make a real, because it's the only people who own these people who live in LA, they'd make an LA version of the game that's like 1-to-1 scale, and the kid would be looking at the screen driving the car in the game, and they're like driving in the actual LA streets. It's like a VR AR thing gone wrong.
Could be quite terrifying, but crazy. Such a weird idea. Friggin' Tesla, what are you doing?
That's so strange. Another weird and crazy idea is a movie title, The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous and... I'm going to try and say this word. Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That is the title of the Birds of Prey film for next year.
Why?
FYI. It's like they saw Guardians Volume 2 and were like, we can do one better. And then James Gunn was like, I'm going to just call it The Suicide Squad, so kind of really simplified that other one. But we got to look at Harley Quinn's, at least one of her, I assume 100 costumes in this film, a new picture of it, and it's certainly a thing.
It's fine. It's fine, I guess. It's so not Harley Quinn.
I do like the trousers. If you see the photo, you can find it online. And they're kind of subtly, they have the jester kind of playing cards pattern, which I quite like. But
like the diamonds.
Yeah,
very
so
cool.
That's pretty cool. But and she's still got the mallet, which is cool. So, well, she has the mallet because she didn't end up using it in Suicide Squad. So, you know, there's little trappings around there.
Like it's there.
A little bit. And something that's also a little bit weird is a film called Enola Holmes, which is the sister of Sherlock Holmes. It only started existing in, like, I think 2007, so very much not what old mate Conan Doyle cared about. But in this film, which will be coming at some point, we don't have a release date, Henry Cavill is playing Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
So...
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a choice. I mean...
Why not? He's actually British too, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he doesn't exactly have the build of the slender, strange-looking Sherlock Holmes of the novels and almost every interpretation.
Yeah, he's very much more so like a Bond.
Yes.
So
totally.
Weird.
It's a very strange choice. I assume it may play into it. Maybe his Sherlock is a full-on brawler, which, you know, Sherlock Holmes is a brawler in the books and a lot of the films, but... I feel like they're going to have to make him a heavy-duty dude. You can't cast that guy and then have him play, like, Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
so,
unless he does, like, a crazy Christian Bale sort of, like, slender down where he just becomes skin and bones for it, and then...
Christian Bale's going to die one day.
Oh, man, that dude nuts.
Like, that's not okay.
No, you can't... I don't know how he's actually alive anyway.
No, not at all.
Bizarre. What a man.
Very strange. But yeah, that's a film that'll happen at some point. But a film that will happen next year is Ghostbusters 3, or Ghostbusters 2020, which is what it's now titled. Assumedly, it has to come out next year, otherwise it's going to look a little bit awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is Ghostbusters 3. It's not continuing on from the all-female reboot. It's old mates coming together, minus, Ramus, the one that died.
Yes.
So that's I'm sure that'll makes sense in the film. Hopefully the black guy comes back, because all they've confirmed so far is Bill Murray, the other one, what is it, Dan Aykroyd, and Sigourney Weaver, which I feel like she is in the first film, and a bit of the second, but I feel like she's not the one you have to worry about in terms of making a new Ghostbusters. You need the black guy.
It's Ernie Hudson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta bring him on in. Oh yeah, you've got a story about him. But the important thing, because we need another white guy in this film, is that Paul Rudd is going to be joining the cast for this film, which is very, very exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, I reckon he'd fit into that heaps well.
Like he could if he travelled, which he probably does, because look at that dude's face. If he travelled back to the 80s, he could have been in these films easily.
Yeah, absolutely. That totally works. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's exciting. But you've got a story about Ernie?
Yeah, I got a weird email today from a Bible app that I used to have. And basically, they've done like an audiobook of the entirety of the Bible with over 600 voice actors. And I looked into the cast of this thing because I saw, just in one little section where they were naming some of them, I saw Jason Alexander. And I was like, surely not. Surely George from Seinfeld is not playing Joseph, Jesus' father, in an audiobook version of the Bible. But nope, it totally is. There's also Marissa Tomei, Sean Astin, Stacey Keach, what's that say? Max von Sydow, is that how you even say it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson and Joan Allen, which... What a cast. That's ridiculous.
It's so strange.
It's absolutely insane, and I don't understand why these people of all people have been chosen for this. Like, look, some of them, we were saying before, like, we don't know what most of these people are doing other than Marissa Tomei. Maybe they're all doing it for money. I don't know how much money you're going to get out of an audiobook podcast thing.
No,
but
of the Bible.
Yeah. But, like, Marissa Tomei doesn't need money right now.
No.
She's in the Marvel Universe. She's probably fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Super bizarre, but that's the only reason why I knew who Ernie Hudson was. Because some of these people I looked up and went, these guys are massive.
That person.
There you go.
But a film that was full of that people was Endgame, and over this weekend that we're currently in, and you may be listening to during, there was a re-release of the Endgame with supposedly extra stuff. I'm like aggressively doing air quotes because this film was it's the same movie. Nothing changed. Mm-hmm. Nothing was added. You didn't end up hitting it, but through the means of the internet, we both know what happened. I went and seen it today. Number one thing, we got a lovely Stan Lee cameo doco, which will be on the DVD. Everything will be that they showed, which was so good.
Oh, it was
so good.
It was amazing. It was gorgeous. And like, I was watching it. I'm just in my room watching it on YouTube, because you can see in the video that I watched that multiple people in the studio were filming the entirety of the extra footage.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to track it down. I actually teared up right at the end when it came up with Stan, we love you 3000. I was like, gosh.
Like, oh my god, why guys?
No.
Yeah.
Oh man.
God, it hurt.
It was gorgeous though. He's he's so humble. Like, the whole thing is just like, he's like, I never expected this. He just didn't want to. He wanted to be able to pay rent back in the day. That's why he was making comic books, and so every day he was just hoping that the comics would sell. And now it's essentially the biggest franchise on the planet right now. Like it's just insane.
But it's a great, if you can find it on the internet, it is worth having a look at. Or if you're I think it's on Monday as well, if you want to help in the quest to defeat Avatar, which doesn't really matter because Disney owns both of them, so it doesn't really help anyone. But the other little bit, we got a deleted scene from the film with the Hulk saving some people from a burning building, and look, it's definitely cut from the film for a reason.
It is
so misplaced.
It
basically would have led into the cafe scene, which, like, in the film is perfectly cut. Like, there's no way you could have slammed this in there.
Yeah, it was really weird. And I thought it was kind of funny, like, from the blurry footage I was watching, it didn't look like he was finished, like CGI finished.
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
It seems weird that they would then show it, like, internationally in cinemas and not just finish it off. Why wouldn't they just finish it off? Just do it.
Surely someone can do that.
Yeah, like, come on, you could knock it out in a week. Probably. Yeah. Like, it's totally fine. It didn't look like his mouth was moving when he was talking.
No, he doesn't.
No, so, like,
it's very strange.
So
Everyone was just laughing.
Yeah.
It was like, what is the point of you showing this?
Yeah, like, the video that I saw, people were just going, what?
Yeah.
Like, why does he look like that? It's really weird. Like, put that on the... That's a deleted scene, like, for the DVDs, where you expect that CGI isn't finished, not something you've paid for.
Yeah. And surely there's a scene that doesn't rely on CG that they could have showed.
Yeah.
Surely there was one that was like a bunch of the Avengers talking or something. Like, why was it that scene is entirely CG. Yeah. Like the fake burning building, the Hulk. It's very strange that they chose that. Very weird.
And he also said this is a scene we loved but had to cut from the film. Yeah. Why did you like that scene? Yeah. That in particular, like, far out. What the hell?
My trust in the Russos are gone. Yeah. But to round it all out, they also showed us a bit of Spider-Man Far From Home, which we won't discuss specifically what happens, but I feel like it doesn't spoil anything because it's definitely stuff from the trailer, but it kind of, in my eyes, locks down a possible confirmation of a theory, I feel like. But totally not spoilery, totally kind of fine to put in there. But it's also like, the film comes out on Monday, you probably could have found something else to put there.
Yeah, it was a bit
strange.
It was a bit like, nah. Like, most of it is just from the trailers. It didn't... Yeah. It wasn't a sneak peek of anything, really.
No. Would have been, it's a bit average.
Oh, well. But Spider-Man on Monday, hell yeah.
Yes!
So
very
freaking
exciting.
keen. Yes. More Spidey, please.
According to Tom Holland, maybe there's a Spider-Man movie next year, apparently.
Really?
Well, it was probably in phrasing, but someone said something about, something about watching a Spider-Man film, and Tom said along the lines of, well, you go, you buy your popcorn, you'll sit down, you watch this one, it starts, it ends, and then you'll come back next year and watch another one. And I think he means another Marvel film, but the internet have construed that as another Spider-Man film.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. Damn it, Tom.
We'll find out. Maybe he means Spider-Verse. Maybe he means there's a Spider-Verse something in the works.
Please.
Surely you wouldn't be making two movies at the same time when you know that movie is so good. But a movie that wasn't as good is Dark Phoneix, and I think we'll kick off with the film because I think we had a lot more things to say in terms of Patreon stuff on the actual comic. Yes. I guess.
Yep.
So film-wise, Joshua, as we always do, how do you feel?
Look, I really feel like it was just a film.
I know.
It wasn't all that great. It wasn't terrible. It was just bland and it's dry and monotone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the one thing I always mention to people is that there's either 0 or 100 in terms of the dialogue delivery. Yeah, totally. It's just so dry and just like, we have to do this. This is a thing that has to happen, blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, I'm so angry at you. I can't believe you. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to anything ever. It's like, just, what? Like, there's nothing.
Pick a lane.
There's nothing in between.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so strange. It's just nothing or complete anger at friends.
Yeah.
That is this
film. And that's the thing. like, apart from, and look, spoilers ahead, if you haven't seen it, you don't want to see it,
Nah.
really. But apart from the aliens, the bad guys, is there bad guys in this? Like, everyone's technically friends?
Yeah.
And it's like, where's the tension in any of this? I don't get it. I think this could have been very good. Like, there is... Because I like that for, like... And I mean, it wasn't their intention, but I like that for the final film in a franchise, it's kind of small. Like, you know, out the back of, like, Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, this one, admittedly, the Dark Phoenix, it should be pretty big, but they kind of played it down a little bit. Like, the threat was mainly against the team for most of the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't really... She was minutes away from destroying the world. Until near the end, but even then, it never felt bad. Like... It could have been a cool, smaller scale interpretation of the Dark Phoenix where it's more character-based.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, because the characters suck.
Yes.
Like, the issue of this entire film is the characters suck. Because the action, sometimes, pretty sick.
Oh,
but
man.
I didn't care about the people doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. The action, like, just the fight on the train...
Oh,
it was
so cool.
It was so good. Magneto's fights was so sick. That was the best part of the whole film.
Everything Magneto did in this movie was friggin' awesome.
Oh, so great. Like, every actor in this is great. They're good actors. They can do it. They just didn't feel like their heart was in it at all.
No.
That seemed to be the problem with this.
Yeah, and it's because their characters don't matter. It's, like, I'll try not to say it too many times, but... This film fails because of its characters.
Yes.
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah. And I was talking to a mate of mine during the week as well about this film, and he was pretty much saying that the X-Men, well, these movies could be very, very good if you get them to do something, because none of them do anything. Yeah. There's no like end mission or whatever. Like, it's just, they're just sort of not doing anything, and there's no clear direction of what's happening sometimes. But the overall thing is, like, there's no, like, character arc in this entire series.
No.
That he's saying. Like, every character at the start of the film ends up having some sort of redemption by the end, but then the next film, they're back to how they were before. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the same character arc for every character, every single film.
Yeah,
there's no progression like there is in like the Marvel movies. There's full-on progression for the last 10 years of every single character. There isn't here. They're the same all the time.
Yeah,
and it's
mind-numbing. And it's, you know, it's something that's been talked about a whole heap. But the lack of continuity between all of these films is just mind-boggling. Like, this film does not require any prior watchings at all. Because if you watched Apocalypse, at the end of that, Jean Grey turns into the Phoenix. Like, one of the main things in that film, the reason they almost win at the end is she has the Phoenix Force and she unleashes that on Apocalypse. But she doesn't have it until this movie. So, how'd she get it in the other one?
Well, this one was set in, like, 96, though.
That's what I mean. It's so far after the other one.
Oh, was Apocalypse in the past?
It's the 80s.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It's set in 1981.
Oh, of course,
also, they don't age.
Yes.
10 years later, they look the same.
Yes. And then, years later, like, what, 4 years...
5 years later.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years later, you've got Patrick Stewart.
And Ian McKellen, more so.
Yeah.
You know, bald people can always kind of look a bit old, but Michael Fassbender turns into Ian McKellen.
In 5 years.
In 5 years.
Man.
Oh, God, these films. But, like,
so odd.
It's just, it's incredible. But, you know, it's so hard to talk about this movie because it was so weird. It was just weird because everything just did not matter. Each scene seemed to be its own thing. You know, there's this kind of thing where Mystique and Hank are like, you know, we should leave. This is all getting too bad. And then, spoilers, 2 scenes later, Mystique just dies.
Yep.
And it's so uneventful. Like, it just happens. We all knew it was going to happen because Jennifer Lawrence f***ing hates the X-Men. It's just unbelievable, this whole film. And when we get to the Dark Phoenix comics, which, admittedly, hard to adapt, I feel. So I don't think they could have just lifted that. But there's so many character moments in that just bring one over.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff in the comics. Like, it's an old comic. We'll get there. But it's a very old comic, and it's hard to read sometimes. A little bit politically incorrect.
A little bit.
Very, at points. But, yeah, like, it's got some great stuff in it, and they used very little of it.
Yeah.
It's real weird.
Very strange.
And, like, what the hell with the aliens?
Oh, man. I've actually got
that?
some news about that.
Yes?
So, you know how this film had a massive reshoot?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it had many, but there was one very close to when it came out. So what that was Disney.
Oh.
Because what are the aliens in this film, basically? They're Skrulls.
Right, yeah, okay.
So they basically had to dumb down those because Disney were like, we can't have them seeming so much like Skrulls. And the end of this film was supposed to end with Jean Grey in full force, flying into the air with her flames, and then zooming off into space. Completely alive. Basically the ending of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, okay,
So
cool.
this film... so it could have been something else. Maybe it was all on Disney cutting this to pieces because they didn't want it to harm Captain Marvel, which it wouldn't have because it's an X-Men film. But there's a bunch of concept art online, and it's like mind-bogglingly close to the end of Captain Marvel. Like, it actually hurts the brain to look at. So the aliens would have also been a sufferer of that. That they just wanted to, because those aliens are so irrelevant to the plot. They're so weird.
They really are. It's like, they're the bad guys, but who the hell are they?
Yeah,
what are they
just appear.
What are they even doing? Why do we have them? When you do your reshoot, just, I don't know, like, write them in better. Like, reshoot that part. Explain who these things are. I know there was a bit of an explanation. Like, basically, what, their planet died?
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
I think that was that, and they're like, we can use this to rebuild.
How did they know that?
I don't know.
Where did that information come from? That, like, this thing destroyed their planet, and now they want it. What?
It's very strange.
Goodness gracious. And you've just sent me those pictures. Holy crap, that is so similar.
It's a bit insane.
That's nuts. Like, I almost want Captain Marvel to be on fire now.
Yeah,
that looks
right? It's
awesome.
a pretty cool visual.
That looks so much cooler.
But the whole film's strange. I think if we wanted to have one favourite scene, I think my favourite bit in the whole film was Jean making Professor X walk.
Oh, so
that was
goofy.
It was so funny. Because it's just like, how do you make... But admittedly, the CG they must have done on his legs was pretty impressive. Like, the way it was like... But it's just like, James McAvoy didn't have... He just had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Like... How do you...
I don't know what to do!
I was just...
And also, that line wasn't in the film.
No.
I was waiting for it the whole time. I don't know what to do!
It's not in there.
He didn't
but you know what was?
Hmm?
You fucking touch her.
Oh, so weird.
It was so... I know they're allowed one F-bomb, but Cyclops, come on,
Come on,
at least
brother.
make it interesting.
Man. But, yeah, the walk was so goofy.
Yeah.
His feet flopping everywhere. So weird, but done pretty well. It looked pretty damn good.
It's like, it's what you would expect that would look like, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I don't know, mine probably just would have been Magneto's fight in the back of the train. Like, man, like, it's been 3 weeks since we saw this film.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, like, I don't remember much of it, but I remember...
Yeah.
I remember, Professor X walking, the fight in the train, and then for some reason, I think just to prove my point about the 0 to 100 dialogue, the discussion between Beast and Professor X in the kitchen, where they're just like talking, and then suddenly they're yelling again. It's like, my goodness,
glass is breaking and stuff.
Yes, and just on that, where is that kitchen?
I don't know.
In that freaking mansion. That kitchen is tiny.
Yeah. It should have been the kitchen from Deadpool 2. At least then we would have been like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. Like, what? Because they said that was the kitchen where they
first
met.
Class.
Which, which, like, I remembered that. When he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, it totally is. But I don't remember that being the same house. No. Professor X didn't grow up in that mansion.
No, and also it looks like a set.
It does.
It's really dark and dingy and just poorly lit, and it looks like a set. And it's also, I feel like, from my memory, is shot pretty high a lot of the time. Like, it's almost looking down on them for most of the scene.
It was really weird. Like, I don't understand where they were, if they were in the mansion at all, and like, how do you cater food to an entire school of people with that tiny kitchen?
That's a good question.
It's so strange. I think those are the three things that I remember about that film.
I did like, on that Magneto, I love that the guns, like, this is the last film, I like that they reference the first film with the guns lifting him up.
Yes.
Like, you know, that was like, I gave that a little clap in the cinema. I was like, that's cool, I like that.
Yeah, that was cool. And I wish there was more Quicksilver.
Oh,
he's
the coolest character.
He was great. He was great in this. Like, he was only really at the start, and then he got burnt or something at some stage.
Yeah.
He got injured, and then he was out until the end of the film, where he just comes back and makes a quip, and then that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I want more of him. He was great.
If you can bring over both Fassbender and McAvoy, that dude and Reynolds, we're good. Yeah. Bring them to the MCU, we're sweet.
Although that...
Admittedly, we've already got a Quicksilver.
Yeah, I was going to say, that guy's Quicksilver...
You know, like, I didn't quite like James Arnold Taylor's one.
Okay.
I didn't quite like that one, so...
But we did only get, like, 20 minutes of him on the screen.
And I think 50% of his lines are, you didn't see that coming.
Pretty much.
Also, I think one of the coolest moments in the film, because I avoided everything about this movie, even when I was watching it, but my favourite bit was when Dazzler turned up. She was singing in the forest. That was cool.
Oh!
You see that bit?
Yeah. Oh! Crap!
That really excited me in the cinema. I was like, holy crap, it's Dazzler! And she's never going to be in a movie ever again.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I had never heard of Dazzler before. Until I read the comics, which was after the film, so that didn't come up. Had you heard of her before?
Yeah. She's actually got a new comic line as well that they've timely done when the film came out. Oh, that's a bit weird, but
that's so strange.
No, she's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
she's a really cool character.
Because I've pretty much avoided most of X-Men for my entire life, other than Dupe. But yeah, like. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this in the podcast before. I've definitely told Will probably too many times. But X-Men 1, when I saw it as a child, it freaked the hell out of me when Rogue kissed her boyfriend right at the start of the film and basically sapped him of nearly his entire life. And, like, you can see his veins popping out from underneath his skin because he's almost, like, becoming a zombie. It's really disgusting, and that freaked me out as a child. And so I don't know whether that did it, or whether it's just the fact that the X-Men aren't that interesting most of the time from what I have been able to tell. But yeah, from that, I avoided X-Men until Logan came out.
Yeah, and then we just watched every single one of them.
We watched every single one in like a week or two, and I was watching Apocalypse while walking from uni to the cinema to see the advanced screening of Logan with you.
So dumb. It's so irrelevant.
It is. Why did we even bother watching all of them?
Because we just didn't care.
Yeah, it was so dumb. I don't remember any of those films, honestly.
No, First Class I really enjoy. First Class is still, I think, next to Logan, my favourite X-Men film.
Yes, I feel like maybe I did see First Class at some stage as well, because I think I have seen that twice now.
Yep.
But, I guess we move on to the comic for a little quickie comic book club.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Do we talk about the plot, or do we just talk about our feelings?
I've written down like a quick plot summary.
Do that.
Cool. So we get right at the start, we get an intro to Kitty Pryde. I'm pretty sure this is the first time she's in the comic.
Yeah, pretty big.
They just straight up start trying to find people, I think. There's probably stuff before it, I don't remember. I did this just then, and I started reading the comic also 3 weeks ago, so some of this has probably fallen down the wayside a little bit. But we get Kitty Pryde, straight up. There you go. And then we get, basically, what is it? Jason Wingard, who is secretly, apparently one of the X-Men villains. I don't know who their villains are.
No.
Apparently some dude called Mastermind, who is part of a club called the Hellfire Club. I have no idea what any of these things are. He's using the White Queen, Emma Frost, to mind tap into Jean Grey to take her back to, like, someone that they think is, well, that Jean believes is, like, potentially one of her ancestors, who is in love with Jason Weingard's ancestor as well. And so they're trying to seduce her in her mind through this weird mind tap where she falls in and out of reality. To try and, I don't know, to just get her to be on their side to get their power.
Because it should be also said, there's like a separate Dark Phoenix thing where she gets the power, and so people of Earth know that she has the power, so these guys are like, we need to get this shit.
Yes, that's right, because you accidentally read the Phoenix Saga and then read the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Which is, they're both pretty shit, but the other one is not good.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
But yeah, basically, in that one, she gets the power. Fairly similar to the movie. There's like an explosion, she gets the thing, they're a bit worried about her, and then she's totally fine, but she's got the thing. But yeah, so Earth knows she has this power, and so this little secret society are like, let's get that shit.
Yeah. So the X-Men go to Angel, who is a retired X-Men now, to try and get into the Hellfire Club, because he's a member, because the Hellfire Club isn't only evil people, it's like political people and famous people and stuff like that. So it's almost like the Illuminati, but there's probably like this dark sect of the Illuminati that are doing evil things as well. So the X-Men go and they attack the Hellfire Club, and they try and take out Jason Wingard. Cyclops like goes into Jean's mind somehow and ends up fighting Jason inside her mind, and Cyclops dies, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all...
They're like, oh, he's dead, and then he stands up in the other one.
Yeah, and then he's all fine. Everyone's like hanging upside down in their underwear because they got captured and defeated by the things. And
because half of the cast are female and comic book writers.
Exactly, yeah. Also, strangely, in her mind, Storm is a slave.
That felt very uncomfortable to read.
Yeah, thank you, 80s. I guess this was going back in time as well, so it's like, yeah, I guess it's probably relevant to the time.
It's like, it's weird because the X-Men are all about like equality between everyone, but then that happened. But also, I'd say maybe that's a comment within it, like that's a thing.
It could be.
They're trying to do a thing.
Yeah,
that's not like we're racist. That's like we're not racist. This is bad.
Yeah, because the X-Men have always been just a symbol of racism. Of like 60s racism against African Americans and all that stuff. Yes, so. Enraged at Mastermind after she somehow breaks the telepathic link to him, or the mind tap thing, she ends up basically giving him or allowing him to experience power where he experiences everything in every reality all at once, and that just drives him insane and basically kills him almost. Like he's left as a vegetable because he can't take that much power that quickly. She then just sort of has a weird freak out, I think, runs off and devours the energy of a star in another solar system, which causes that star to become a supernova and kills the entire population of a planet nearby, which is...
It's basically accidental genocide.
Yeah. So throughout all of this, we've got the Dark Phoenix talking, and the one thing that Jade, one of our Patreons, mentioned was that all of Dark Phoenix's dialogue boxes were very jagged looking, basically saying that she's quite volatile and unstable. And then you've got thought bubbles inside, which is Jean Grey, and she's in there, but she can't control anything. So she's aware of everything that's happening, and she's trying to break through, but the Dark Phoenix has full control of her body and all the power. There's some orbiting ships and stuff around this planet, and they start attacking her, and then she ends up killing them, and then they're like, oh, we're going to get her back. But then she comes back to Earth. She goes home, which is, it seems very similar to the film. This is one thing that they seem to do pretty pretty directly from the film, although then the next few scenes that play out are very different. In the film, it's just her dad that's left, and her dad basically abandoned her and didn't want to remember that she existed. But in this, she has a whole family who still love her and haven't seen her for a while. She goes in as Jean and then snaps and freaks out as the Dark Phoneix, scares the crap out of them. The X-Men show up and put this mind blocker psychic thing on her head. Try to kill her. Wolverine almost does, but he hesitates. And then she ends up breaking out of that and sort of grabs all of them in a psychic hold when Professor X comes up. So Professor X comes, they have a crazy mind battle, which is insane. I just super quickly want to read a section out of this, because holy damn, teacher versus student in a death duel between the strongest mutant minds on Earth. The struggle is epic, waged simultaneously on all the infinite planes of existence. Holy crap, guys, just calm down. Just what is it? The struggle is epic would have been enough. That's fine.
Yeah.
You didn't have...
Maybe just bring it down to 7 planes.
Yeah, all infinite planes of existence. Jeez. Ridiculous. Anyway, Professor X basically fixes her somehow in this. I think it uses most of his energy, because it's all they're probably just really sitting there staring at each other. Nothing would be happening visually. But, she ends up getting fixed. The Phoenix appears to be gone. But then all of a sudden they disappear to a Shi'ar spaceship, which is the spaceship that was we're gonna get her back. And they want to kill her for what she did to the sun and the planet of their race, or whatever, whoever they were looking after.
Yeah.
The X-Men challenge them to a battle to the death over Jean's life, and they accept because Professor X knows a specific word that means that death battle that the Shi'ar race can't refuse. And he's apparently in love with the leader of them. They seem to have this romantic connection for some reason. Who knows? It's X-Men. No one reads them.
No.
So cue a super boring montage of every character's thoughts on the situation for half the comic. My goodness, it was so boring.
There's a reason it's 35 pages long, and it's just that. Man.
So some are in full support of Jean, some aren't, because she killed a planet of a population of 5 billion people. So they're like, maybe she should die and be punished for killing an entire planet. But then all of a sudden they all just seem to agree to the fight, and they're like, yeah, we're in full support all of a sudden. Okay, fine, whatever. And this happens on Earth's moon, I think, or a moon.
Yeah.
I think it's Earth's moon.
I think so.
Gravity's different there and causes Angel some problems at first, which seems weird, but then it kind of comes back, I guess. It's sort of explained because Wolverine throws Colossus. All of the X-Men are defeated, except for Jean and Cyclops. The Phoenix comes back. Professor X is like, holy crap, so he's on the ship still. And then he psychically tells all the X-Men that they have to kill Jean now. The ones that were defeated are just back now. They're just fine. Not defeated or dead anymore, which it seemed to suggest they were, since this was supposed to be a battle to the death. Jean and Cyclops have a romantic moment, and then Jean sort of sets herself up to die with some special weapons on the moon that she knew was there, but no one else did. So she stands in front of one, and it kills her. And then it ends with the Watcher saying some profound stuff about humans being willing to sacrifice themselves for the good of the universe, which isn't like any other race.
No.
That was it. It was there were some good parts. The action-y parts were cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
There's
those.
an entire comic where Wolverine just dicking about in a sewer, just killing some people.
It's so good.
It's great.
He's the best. He's so great at this.
One of my favorite bits of the whole thing is when someone goes to shoot him and then they don't, and he's like, oh, I thought you were going to do that.
Yeah.
He's like, I really would have liked you to have done that. And then he does.
Yeah, totally. And I also love, there's one bit where Cyclops, like there's sort of fighting and explosions and stuff, and all of the people in the Hellfire Club that don't know about the evil part are sort of scared about what's happening. So Cyclops goes in to like calm them down and stuff. But Mastermind, who is essentially Mysterio, I think, he causes all of them to believe that Cyclops just walked in, like blasting his freaking eyes at them. And that's just like such a funny shot because you see him like in one shot, like calming them down. And then the other one is just complete chaos. And they're all just running, screaming. It's so funny. It's such a...
That would be so good in the film.
That would be sick. That would have been such a great thing to do. But yeah, that was... That scene was great. But yeah, the action was pretty good in parts, but it also did not last long.
No, it's the strangest... Because this is one of those seminal comics that people talk about. Like, how? What in this is lasting? Like, I think, obviously, the Phoenix has come back now, and those storylines are probably really good, and maybe that's why people talk about this, because it's where it was birthed, but... I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah,
it's not that interesting to read.
It might have been just a massive thing in the 80s. Like, this was... Because people didn't know that comics could be as good as they are now.
Yes.
Because there's very much not the explanation of absolutely everything that's happening on the page by everyone. And, like, Wolverine explaining that he's going to... retract his blades out of his fists, because we don't need to know that anymore, because everyone knows.
He does that.
That's the thing. That's Wolverine. If you don't know that, you shouldn't be reading the comics. Yeah, so maybe that was a massive thing back then, and it's just remained as one of the top things, like top comic moments, because it was back then as well. Maybe, like, you and I have read The Infinity Gauntlet, and man, that can be a slog. It can be a real slog to get through. Because it is very, very old as well. But, yeah, that was also one of the biggest moments in comic history, but it's really hard to read. It's aged very badly. It's the same with video games as well. I think, like, we hold up a lot of video games to a high standard that we remember playing as kids, but going back to them, man, they suck. So it could just be that sort of thing. It was a seminal moment back then, so we have to still hold it as one now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point. Just thinking on this, I tried to, as I was reading it, tried to think of what they could have pulled for the film. And I don't know what they could have. Like, in terms of the story they went with, it's very much not this one. And the family thing they kind of did, I feel like they took the idea of Kitty Pryde's origin and gave it to Jean, with the professor finding her and that kind of thing, because that's kind of at the start of Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, okay.
So I think they might have pulled on a bit of that, but, you know, the entire mind-tapping Hellfire Club thing, that's not in the movie. That would be its own film as well. That's, I think, the tricky thing.
It would, yeah.
It feels like it's not something you could gel in with the rest of this comic, because as soon as they get zapped to the planet, to the moon, and all that stuff happens, it's like, this feels like a different comic. This doesn't feel like what you've been setting up.
Yeah.
Like, this is so... You know, and they kind of throughout it hint at Professor's relationship with this alien person and stuff like that, but not until that final issue is it like, oh, okay. Alright, this is how it ends, I guess.
Yeah, it's very strange. I think if the X-Men movies were better and more consistent, and, like, if they had, like, one of the other movies could have been this. Well, could have been the first half. And then the second half could have been this. Like, there's no bad guys in X-Men, from what I remember. It's all about racism and getting the planet to like them. And, like, Magneto and the evil mutants. Like, that's it. So, like, if they threw in Mastermind at some point, and then now he comes back, and he's doing stuff to Jean, that sounds weird. And... yeah, like, that would have been way better. Maybe they could have done not the aliens, and they could have done Mastermind instead.
Totally.
And then the fight on the...
Just him.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the fight on the train was with Mastermind. That would make more sense, because the original thing was the aliens in outer space. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Fighting humans on a train, that makes sense.
And also, back to the film, the fact that the aliens kind of stayed as like weird zombie humans and not their alien form, I get it for CGI purposes, but it's weird because that's not who they are.
Yeah.
And when they're at that part of the film, there's no reason to hide.
Yes. Yeah. It was weird. One thing, though, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, is that the building that they're in the film when Jean makes Professor X walk and all of that, that seems like the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, totally.
And like when in the comics they leave, it almost looks like the exact same location.
That's true. And even when totally. That's true.
So yeah, there's that. But yeah, Dazzler's also in this at some stage.
Yeah,
because they go to a club. I forgot about the nightclub scene. I don't even remember what happened there, but
that's the establishment of Mastermind. So the first time she comes in contact with him, and has a weird little moment.
Yeah.
So Dazzler seems to be somewhat set up in the comic as well. Like seems to be her first somewhat appearance.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe she's appeared elsewhere, but. So yeah, I guess they did bring that across, but they didn't use her. She was literally a singer at a camp.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was quite strange.
Yeah. In the comics, she's a singer at a nightclub, and that's her introduction. This is... So we get Kitty Pryde, I think, in the issue before, and then this one in the next one, in the next issue. It's so weird. I forgot all the other stuff about this now. Because in that... Mastermind like kidnaps Kitty Pryde and all the other people, and then Kitty Pryde gets out and tells the X-Men about it, and so that's why they go to the Hellfire Club to get in to try and get the rest of the X-Men back. Totally forgot about that part because it's been 3 or 4 weeks, and this comic
my
wasn't
god, the amount of times the X-Men get captured in this comic run is mind-blowing.
All the time,
like every second issue, they're like, "Oh no." It's like, God damn it, you guys suck.
And there's one bit where Nightcrawler actually says we'll be lucky to get out of this alive, but he also says, but I guess we're lucky all the time to get out of these things. So maybe we'll just get out with our normal luck. Like it's all just constant luck. They constantly get captured and then they constantly just happen to get out of it conveniently.
Just get out. Yeah.
It's
very strange.
It's so annoying.
It's a very odd storyline. I'm surprised that this is the one they wanted to do. They've done twice now in the films. Like, it's very odd. But also the fact they've done it twice and not done it at all.
It was fine. It's in and out, and it's very old. It's hard to rate because of the time period that it comes out of. Cool. Shall we go to Patreon thoughts?
I think so.
So I apologize to Jade and Lucas. I did cut these down a little bit because I knew that this was a pretty big podcast, and you guys wrote so much. We read through all of it, but I cut out some things. There's still a fair bit in here for me to say because you guys did write so much. But yes, we'll go through Jade first. She was the first one to reply. She said, the art is lovely and detailed, I guess, again, for the time. And, yeah, she mentions the jittery dialogue boxes of the Phoenix, leading her to seem volatile. She said, why the ladies in the Hellfire Club dressed like dominatrixes all the time. It's very strange. The White Queen, the Black Queen, and even the hired, like, the maids and stuff. Yeah. They're all in...
I guess it's very much a gentleman's club.
Yeah, very scantily clad. But then there's women in the Hellfire Club downstairs that are dressed normally as well, but that's weird. And she also said, and why did the X-Men need to remain in their underwear in disco cages when they get captured? Very strange.
Storm is very much in underwear almost the entire run of this thing. I feel like every time they cut back to her, she's just not wearing clothes.
Yes. Yeah, she's
just constantly in her underwear.
And so torn. Her clothes are always just torn to pieces.
It's very strange.
So weird. Is Dazzler the last dying breath of the disco scene for the writer/artist? She also said she has roller skates, which is actually awesome. Also probably very, very telling for the time. And then in quotes, Cyclops is dead. Then the very beginning of the next issue, Cyclops is alive. It's just, oh man, it's so bizarre. And then she basically mentioned the fact that they keep writing paragraphs of thoughts and like descriptions of everything, which we always complain about in old comics. Thank goodness we live in a day where they know how to write comics now. I can't believe that they went 30 years doing this. Like, I feel like the 90s, they might have picked up a little bit more from there, maybe. Although comics were dying in the 90s, so maybe not. Maybe it happened in the 2000s when it all got fixed up. But, like, I can't believe this was an 80s comic, and comics started getting big in the 60s. Like, Marvel have been doing this for 30 years, 30 years, and it's been this descriptive.
It's so... and, like, we get comics now where entirely, the normal run of a comic with, like, almost no words sometimes. It's all told through images. Yeah. So it's like, God damn it, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you're so annoying. Just less words.
So frustrating.
God, I mean, maybe they were getting paid by word. Maybe that's what was happening.
Potentially. That could have been a thing. And then her final thoughts, do I regret reading this? Heck no. Will I recommend this? Sure, for comic book history. That's purely the reason to do this. Just because it is a big thing to happen. I sort of wish that I read the Phoenix series beforehand, because there's a lot of references to it. Potentially would have been helpful, but you've said that it's also not very good, so I don't know, maybe I won't. And then she said, will I watch the new movie that's coming out? Don't know, did you guys like it? I'll probably follow your lead. So, probably don't bother. It's just a film.
See it after. Yeah. See it when it's on home release.
Yeah, or watch it when it's on a streaming service at some point, and you need to kill an hour and a half. Yeah, so that was all Jade's. Thank you so much, Jade, for being in on this and being in on most of our comic book things. You guys are the best. And on to Lucas, who is one of our most active Patreons and just gives us idea after idea after idea. And man, we can't keep up. We can't even make content these days.
No.
But Lucas is all over it. He wrote so much stuff. So he also said he loved the art style. Seeing these characters in the costumes and drawn like this just feels right, which is very true. Like, seeing them in the movie, it feels forced because the costumes don't make sense in real life very much. But yeah, it's their natural form in the comics. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
I love how they're just dropping superhero names. Like, imagine if this was your first issue, you'd be like, what are they even talking about? It's pretty true. I have to also say, they kept saying Gambit, but using it as the actual word. There's no character called Gambit in this.
No, but they just say Gambit a lot.
Yeah, they say it like 4 times in this, 9-issue run. I've never heard the word Gambit used outside of X-Men. No. I don't even know what it means. He said, I love how the movement is drawn, like the jet landing looks like a snake. I think it's sort of like how how Ant-Man grows and shrinks, and you see like the different phases of it. Yeah, it's like do, and you see it at all those different phases. Pretty cool. Charles is a bit of a dick, which is sort of translated pretty well in the prequel films.
And especially in the Dark Phoneix film, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he said, wait, is this the introduction of Kitty Pryde? That's what I thought too. I was like, I just assumed she was like an OG, but they just sort of throw her in the 80s. The Avengers in a big fight in Scotland. Does this mean anything to you boys? I have no idea.
No.
Huh?
That was weird.
Yeah. We should go back to that era. Find out what they were doing.
See what they were doing. I hope they were fighting the Loch Ness Monster.
That'd be great.
That'd be so cool. They totally would have in the 80s.
Yeah, probably.
But it's actually like the brother or sister of Fing Fang Foom.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
That'd be amazing. Goodness. What a twist.
Jeez. Oh my god, Dazzler, that's a name I'd completely forgotten about. I didn't even know. There you go.
I love Dazzler because her name is exactly what she does. Like, she dazzles by like just people just are incapacitated.
Yeah.
Like, it's being dazzled. It's being frazzled.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. Because most of the times it's like a play on them. Like, Wolverine doesn't Wolverine. He does things that a Wolverine would do.
Yeah.
But it's like Dazzler. She does it.
Yep. She'll dazzle ya.
She'll dazzle ya.
Dazzle her. She'll dazzle ya.
She'll dazzle ya.
So Aussie. I love these little info boxes that say, want to know the whole story, buy our back issues. I kind of miss those. I like them when they occasionally come up. They're kind of nostalgic. In the modern ones, they're cool to see.
Yeah. I guess in the modern ones, it's like, buy out. Oh, it's probably sold out.
Yeah, pretty much. Buy the whole collected issue. Yeah, go do that.
Buy the third printing.
Where are we at? Boys, if you had to dreamcast for Dazzler, what pop star would you cast? I'm thinking Miley Cyrus because I know she can act.
Yeah, totally her.
Yeah.
I don't think you could choose anyone else, especially after the Black Mirror episode.
She was
like, I'd like to see her do an aggressive version of Dazzler.
Yeah, that would be great, man. That Black Mirror episode, though, so great. Yeah. This season, pretty good.
Really good. All three pretty... The first episode's a bit... but the other ones are really good. I mean, it's still cool as a concept, but it's definitely... I mean, it's so irrelevant. Of the three, probably the one I fell asleep the most, almost.
Okay, yeah, fair. But yeah, the later ones, great. Go check those out. Yeah. Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, only three.
Yes. Miley Cyrus, fantastic, though. I want to see her in more things.
Guardians 3. Bring her back.
Yes, I want to see her... Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be great. I want to see her, though, like, sell her soul to Netflix like Topher Grace seems to have done.
Totally.
Because he's just in everything in there now.
Hannah Montana reboot.
Yes, please. I said I'm down for a Nightcrawler solo film. That'd be kind of cool.
It's called Nightcrawler, featuring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
It's not actually what that's about, but, you can pretend.
Certainly could. Yeah, that'd be pretty rad, because he's a pretty fun character. He's got some cool stuff.
He's kind of like Beast Boy.
Yes.
In the Teen Titans.
Yeah, very true. Angel's design, not a fan. He is very weird when he's in, like, his, weird, casual pants and stuff.
I don't think he's ever looked good in film or comic.
No, it's always a bit weird. Just curious, whose Wolverine's voice do you hear? So which Wolverine voice do you read his voice in? He said he hears the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 voice. And he asked, do we hear Hugh?
I hear the one that voiced him in the Deadpool game.
Okay, interesting. I think
Which may be the Capcom guy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that would probably make sense. I think I just hear, just a gruff kind of come over here, bub. Just that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is probably, a little bit Hugh. But maybe, the one in the comics is always rougher. He always seems rougher and hairier and, more, bogan American, I guess, because they always write him with little accents. They write his words wrong, but you read them in, a southern accent. Did I say Western?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking on that, it's the bit where someone contacts, I think, the Avengers Tower or whatever, wherever Hank is, and Jarvis is there, and they spelt it Jahvis, and I was like, is that how it's supposed to be spelled? But it was, an accent thing, and I was like, God damn it, comics, I know you love doing that, but sometimes it's very confusing.
Yes, yeah. They do it a lot. It's almost entirely in the X-Men. The X-Men have it...
because everyone's friggin' Rogue and everyone...
Yes, Rogue especially. She's so hard to read the dialogue for. Holy crap. She was in Avengers vs. X-Men a lot. And I think that's where I read a lot of her dialogue with that annoying misspelling of words for the accent thing. So annoying. He's had 6 issues in and we're about to see Dark Phoneix. What a saga. It does take a very long time to get in there.
Yeah.
They really capture the crazy in Jean's face. Man. Some of those things, they're just circles with a dot in the middle.
Yep.
It's so creepy.
Did they ever expect Sophie Turner to do that with her face? Because it doesn't change in anything she's ever been in. I love her, but it's just always the same.
It really is. It is. It's so weird. But just on that, the crazy face that I really remember is on the cover of one of them. And some of these covers are really cool. There's some great, art in these. There's a really, really interesting one where Jean is grabbing and crushing the X-Men logo, and it looks like it's made of stone, and it's like crushing and falling apart. That looks awesome. That is such a cool cover. He said, Mind Blast. Wow, that sounds like a Pokemon move. It really does. And he said, I'm assuming all these alien races are from the history of Marvel Comics. Did you boys recognize any besides the Skrulls? So they do also mention the Kree, which, I'm sure Lucas probably does know, but just forgot. I do remember hearing a lot about the Shi'ar.
I feel like they might have been part of the Infinity Saga.
Yes.
Like the new Infinity Saga.
Yeah. I couldn't remember whether I'd heard them ever mentioned in, like, Captain Marvel or anything like that as well. Like, maybe they just dropped it in part of their jargon about other universes and whatever. But, yeah, they're the only ones that I really recognized.
I love hearing Terran in comics.
Yes.
Because, like, they say it so much in Guardians and then from then on in a lot of the films. And I just love reading Terran.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what that is.
Yeah, comes up in a few times in the last few issues of this series, which is pretty good. And he said, and Gina's dead. She's just dead. She's gone. Is this like...
Yeah.
Is she actually permanently always dead now?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if it's like the X-Men films, where they just forget every now and then, and she's just alive.
Because, like, obviously we don't read X-Men at the moment, and we probably haven't for a long, long time. But, yeah, I don't remember ever hearing if Jean is actually alive or dead, because now she has a school named after her, so maybe the next following issues, they create the new school. Because I looked at the cover of the next issue after this series, and it was Cyclops leaving. He seemed to be walking away with a suitcase from the X-Men. And I'm wondering whether he was leaving to start his own, like, the Jean Grey school. I wonder if she is actually permanently dead now.
It's funny, because I've read a thing that... I can't remember what it was called, or Generations or something like that, which were two characters from different eras of comics, generally, like, 1960s, 80s, and the most current ones. So it was, like, Falcon and Cap, and Kate Bishop and Hawkeye and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it was Jean Grey from this era and Jean Grey from the current era, and she seemed younger, so I wonder if it's like a rebirthy kind of thing happens with her. And the younger one talking to the older one seems aware of the Phoenix Force.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a rebirth or something, maybe a reboot of the universe, or something happens, but she definitely comes back.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm sure they probably did that because it's a comic book. Like,
the only two people that ever stayed dead until, like, 2014 were Uncle Ben and Spider-Gwen.
That's pretty much it. Oh,
but now they're both alive.
Is Uncle Ben alive?
Well, he's got a universe where he's Spider-Man, so...
Oh, holy crap, he is.
Spider-Verse was like, yeah, everybody lives.
It's so ridiculous. Great. Fantastic. And finally, he said, this is just his final thoughts, it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. I understand why the film adaptations stray from the source material, but was an enjoyable romp through a classic X-Men story.
Good.
Yeah, so fair enough. Yeah, definitely wasn't as exciting as I was thinking, but again, I did like the action parts, like I like the action parts of the film. They seem to know how to do that well, at least.
They do, in both X-Men comics and films. We didn't actually touch on it. How did you feel they wrapped up the Dark Phoenix film? I thought that was pretty good.
Yes, where, like, they were playing chess in France or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, and you had, like, the Jean Grey school, like, it got renamed.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like, yes. I agree with you. That was a very nice ending. It was a good way to sort of cap it all off. And then you see, like, the Phoenix thing in the sky and all that sort of stuff. It was fine. It was good. Playing chess in France just reminded me of the end of the Dark Knight, the last Batman one.
Oh yeah, totally.
Where they're in France they and they look over at each other and whatever. Yeah. It seemed very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, it was like, so we'll reference the first film, but we'll also let's also take the mickey of that.
Let's just take Batman. I think one of the other things that was kind of funny was Jean Grey's like voiceover over the top is like, now I'm like free to explore the universe and like protect like galaxies and stuff from evil, and then she appears over Earth. It's like, just go away. Like, you said you were going to go to other universes. Just you're allowed to go explore. You don't have to stay around Earth. You can go. You're free to go. You said you would.
But also thinking about the comics. In the comics, she's like, I'm free. Oh, I'm feeling a bit tired. I'm going to blow up this fucking sun. So maybe don't. Maybe stick around.
Yeah, maybe. Although she could potentially just destroy Earth by absorbing
That's true.
the
If she
sun.
stays there too long. She's like, I need a little bite of that sun.
Yeah. Great. I think that's it. Are we wrapping up?
I think that's Dark Phoenix. I think that's E3. I think that's Endgame. But Spider-Man is in 2 days.
Oh, man. We're going to be all over this. Yeah, we'll do a pod for next week and hopefully get back on track with some vids and all that stuff. I'm going to jump back on. I just found out that there was a VR Spider-Man Far From Home experience. So I think I'm going to do a vid on that. And then I'll get back to A Plague Tale.
But until the next one of these, or whatever we get up to, we'll out.
And Josh out. Don't forget Patreon, don't forget YouTube. Go check all that stuff out.
Yeah. We shouldn't be, we're in the end cardy bit for YouTube. We shouldn't really talk about them until, they're like, look at the videos we're going to make for you.
Look at them up there. Go, yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Look at them. Look at them there. You're all up there.
Check them out.
You're all up there.
Check out those things.
Yeah, give it a little cheeky click.